Sepia dream.
We're going to leave that one. Hi, welcome. Let's jump in. This video is how I prep my flavor and texture enhancement veggies for the week or thereabout. So that clear mat you see on top of the silicone mat is a dollar store cutting board mat. It comes in a 2-pack. I use it until it's at its end, and then I dispose of it. So first up, we have the celery. After washing it, I trim off the ends and get to cutting. So I like celery best for its texture enhancement. It does add a bit of flavor, but for the two recipes that follow the egg ones, I don't use it. Usually this one comes out when I'm making a sauce or a casserole, um, stuffing, dressing, stuff like that. Um, Even a tuna fish salad, actually. I like that. Now, as for cutting here, I this isn't the place to learn how to cut. Just wash your fingers, okay? Watch your fingers. Um, For storage, I found those containers there at the dollar store a few months ago, more than a few months ago, maybe like a year ago. And I just put them in there, dashed it, seal it up, and call it good. So moving on to the carrots here, after washing them and skinning them or peeling them, I cut them into smaller chunks and then, I just slice them on the flat side or make a flat side and then keep on slicing them until they're like little matchsticks. I can't even call those matchsticks, but until it gets thin, and then I dice them up. Now, I'm doing these all at once because I need to, but it's really going to be based on usage. Sometimes midweek you're going to be having to restock something. For me, it's usually the peppers and the onions because those get used more than the carrots and celery do. So onto the onions, I prep these two ways. One onion will be diced and one will be sliced. And I mean, honestly, the onions are kind of self-explanatory as far as, cutting them. You're not going to find perfect technique here whatsoever. It's going to be a rough chopped up onion and it's going to go into that container and it's going to serve me well in whatever it goes into throughout the week. All right, stored, put to the side. And then I like the sliced onions because they're very easy. Just cut it in half, slice, 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 and store it away. I usually bring this out when I'm making something like fajitas or something that requires a little bit more onion presence, like texture, or in the meal. Now, the mini peppers. I like these more than the bell peppers because they're more cost effective for me and they add a lovely pop of color to the meals and they're easy for me to prep up. And so, like the onions, this gets done in two ways. They get diced and sliced. I try to pick out 6 of each color, 3 longer peppers of each color, and for the slicing, and 3 shorter peppers for the dicing. I prep these by cutting off the tops, and then um, saving the flesh around the stem because I bought that, so I'm going to use it. And then after that, I roll the pepper in between my hands to loosen the insides, and then dump that out. And then after that, I smash the pepper down and then I cut it through the smash crease and then slice it. It's super convenient and easy to process, much more than a bell pepper. That's not to say I don't use bell peppers anymore, but as my go-to stored, pepper prepped, these are my peppers that I use. And really, I just love the color. I love the colors of these. And yeah, I do every time. Just put them in like that. I don't know why, but I do. I just like to see them. I like the way it looks. I like the colors. Anyhow, moving on to the dicing ones after this is stored. It's the same exact process, except those on the side over there, when you cut the tops off or whatnot, those are going to be diced up um, before it gets stored in. But here we go, cut tops, um, roll them, empty out the innards, and then mash them, and then cut the crease. then here you see I take those little pieces or whatnot and just chop, 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 chop and put them into the thing they're going to be used. Now here we're slicing, but interestingly enough, I want to show something here, right? As I'm cutting here, you see where I'm sawing there. You shouldn't be sawing with a knife like this. You should not be sawing. So at this point in time, you need to sharpen or hone. It's probably honing is the correct word. Your blade, and get the tip or the edge straight again. And you see how much easier it is to cut. And I probably should have clocked that when I was cutting the onions because those onions had me crying. But I got it now. So hone your blade. It makes the knife easier to cut, and it's probably even safer because you're not sitting here sawing and trying to push down into it. Yep, so pretty. All the colors that are going to be used up. Yeah. So here we are. We have our sliced and diced onions, sliced and diced peppers, and our diced carrots and celery for the week or however long it's going to last you. And here's a quick tip. When you have your stem veggies and herbs, wrap them in paper towels and add some water. It helps them to stay fresher longer. Now here's that go-to omelet from the short. That pan right there. I love that pan. I ordered that back in January 2024 from Kohl's, and I recommend it. I love that omelet pan. So in my mix is just salt, pepper, chives, and red pepper flakes. Mix it up really good to the side, some onions. That's cumin right there. That is cumin, whole cumin. I like it whole. I like to chop it up myself and then add that into the pan and let that all kind of sweat and do its thing. Everything bagel seasoning, you have to get some. If you don't have that in your kitchen, get some. You'll find yourself using it on all sorts of things. It's a great way to add like a lot of nice flavor to something. But yeah, those are tomatoes and avocado. I use those, because I like those easy on the stomach, goes really well with eggs. Now, right here. So this is obviously sped up, but this is the egg starting to set and set into the pan. So I'm like kind of pulling up the edges there, making sure it moves. Some people will call right there done. That's the perfect omelet for them. They will not, but I'm not like that. I don't like gooey. So I flip mine. And I then add my cheese, and then I come back and add that stuff I sweated earlier into it, and then add some of the tomato, and then I do my little tri flip. That's me. That's how I eat my eggs. Like I said, I don't like goo. Over there on the avocado, I added oil. I added olive oil. I added salt, pepper, all of that. That's how I like mine. All right, let's get into this frittata then. It's pretty much the same thing as far as what's going into the eggs, except there's more eggs. There's 6 instead of 3. Mix it up really well. I put some oil in the bottom of the cast iron, mix it around, some butter. I got all the things that you saw in the other one, the cumin, all of that, spinach, some sliced turkey. Um, we chop that up, get that all up into that pan, that everything bagel seasoning. And we're going to dump the egg right on top of that. We get some mozzarella balls and take about 6, and I just cut them into fourths, get the green onions ready on the side. Once you start seeing it set a little bit, you're going to add the cheese and all of that to it. And the mozzarella balls and the green onions, and then into the oven, as you saw, 400 degrees for about 10 minutes. Pull it out, let it set for about 5-10 minutes so that you don't burn your fingers off. And then I cut mine into triangles. I could probably pull the whole thing out of the pan and make a whole presentation with it, but I'm not doing that. It's dishes, and yeah. So you see the avocado coming in again because I love the avocado and I love the tomato. And on there you got the olive oil, you got the vinegar, salt, pepper, and a little bit of heat from the red pepper flakes. And that's how I do that. Yummy, yummy, yummy. All right. Thank you for sticking around and watching, and hopefully this is helpful to you.